I conducted free Power BI online session for the developer community and Power BI enthusiasts. Hi, my name is Rahul Neekhra and I've been in data analytics space past from 15 years. In this video, I have covered four major points about the Power BI learning. First one is how to learn the Power BI using the right approach. The second one is what is the data modeling and how to do the data modeling. Third one is the DEX, how to approach learning the DEX with the examples. And fourth one is the visualization tips and tricks. As part of the bonus, I have shared interview tricks and tips at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get into the details. Let's start with the learning pyramid. So what is happening in the market right now based on the content available, the courses available, whether they are recorded or freely available on the YouTube? Most of the folks basically start with the visualization, and there is no bad thing about it. And I would say, and there's nothing wrong to start with the visualization because that is how the content is available in the market, mostly when it comes to free of the cost content. But there are many other YouTube platforms which are having the in-depth content. They are related to the other aspect of the Power BI. So most of the folks start with the visualization with the simple problem statements and then eventually try to run the DEX after that. And since the learning curve of the DEX is little bit higher than visualization, that's why people gradually move to there. And once they complete the visualization, they never go with the Power Query. Most of them don't go to the Power Query level. And data modeling is like far-fetched thought for them because the visualization gives the sense that this is all about the Power BI. But the conventional approach to build the Power BI is understand the data model from the perspective of the functional as well as the technical aspect of it. And we'll talk about the data modeling part as well because I'll discuss three problems. One is the data modeling problem, another is DAX and Power Query related problem, third one is the visualization in the session going forward. So most of the things when we start learning the Power BI, for that matter, any tool for the reporting and dashboarding, it should start with the understanding of the data, its functionality, and its nature, and also how we design that data model on the database side, on the Power BI side, on the Tableau side, be it any tool. So that is the first thing we have to adopt. The second thing is the Power Query, because why Power Query becomes most important after the data modeling. Most of the sources in the business organization are not only the databases, but there are like services like Salesforce, like Joho, those kind of things are there, which are like to be connected in the Power BI, and they are not actually pre-modeled data sources. So that is where Power Query help us to do the data modeling while loading the data into the PBIX file, and then we can easily build the DAX top up those data sources, right? Third one is DEX, definitely. The more refined data model we have in the PBIX and the more work we have done on the Power Query, the development of the DEX becomes very easy. Why? Because if we don't have the standardized data model, then it becomes hard to build the logic on the DEX side. So that is why after learning the data modeling Power Query, DEX becomes to learn easy. But if we do the approach of popular approach, then the building or getting the understanding of DEX becomes from the different angle. So that is why in the unconventional approach, we have to start with the data modeling, then Power Query, and then do the DEX. The last of the pyramid of the learning from the conventional approach, last thing should be the visualization, because when your data is placed properly in the PBX file and you understand the data functionally as well as technically, then the visualization becomes easy. Otherwise, we try to trick down the approaches and build the visualization. So that is where basically we have to understand the approach, learning approach, and we adopt the unconventional approach. I believe that most of the folks can actually learn the Power BI by themselves and crack the interview easily. Now, if we look at this particular DEX problem, let's look at the understanding how actual business requirements comes into the picture. So let's suppose a customer which has asked to build a report where we need to show the data
from beginning of the financial year till yesterday. And financial year is starting from 1st of August of every year, right? That customer is basically international customer. And in the Power BI file, we have the calendar table, sales table, and in the calendar table, we have date. In the sales table, we have the order quantity on which we need to do the quantity sum, and we need to filter based on the order date. Considering the sales table has the futuristic data, because we are having the pre-booked order into the system. As I mentioned that the financial year is beginning from 1st of August to 31st of August, and data is available in the calendar table. So when we design the calendar table, it is start with the 1st January 2022 onwards 31st of 2025. That is next till next year. And dashboard has the drop down to select the financial year. So that is the another added requirement I have added. Now we have to write the DEX, and that is one of the most important DEX question I always ask in the interview, to write a DEX and think about all the possible scenarios when we need to run that particular report, and the report should functionally work correctly. So that is the kind of DEX problem, which is like, I would say, that easiest problem to there in the business requirement. So anyone has the idea? Because I've already asked in one of my LinkedIn posts to solve this particular problem. So this conversation is not one-way conversation. I would like to ask if anyone has any idea to write that particular DEX. Yeah, so let me, I've already shared the problem. Let's look at the solutions. This is the solution which is shared by one of our fellow developer on the LinkedIn. And if you see this, there are two variables in that particular DEX calculation. One is the start of the financial year, and one is the yesterday date. So what I was talking about is, if you see this month today, that calculation saying, if the month from the current date is coming 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, greater than equals to 8, then return that particular date. That means the current year date, whatever the date, let's say that we are running into the 2024 December, then this will give us the first of August till so that will return. If it is like greater than equals to not falling, if that is like let's say the first month or second month, third month, then this will return the previous date. Now yesterday is like today -1, and that is calculation. Now here are the testing scenarios. Let me write all those testing scenarios. And those are the follow-up question. When I run the report on 1st Jan 2025, that DEX should work. When I run the report on 1st August, the DEX should also pull data between 1st August 2024 to 31st July 2025. Is that the valid scenario? On the 1st August 2025, because what my requirement is saying, when I run the report should pull the data from beginning of the financial year till yesterday. So on the 1st of August 2025, still I'm looking into the data for the previous financial year.
Yes.
Right. And so that should return the data for whole 365 days. That should return the data for till 31st December 2025.
Yeah, 4.
Sorry, yeah, 4. And when I run the report on 2nd July, 2nd August 2025, then report should give the data for 1 day. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So where I'm going from here, what I'm trying to say is that building a logic is not a big thing, right? And writing a DEX, we have the plenty of resources available on internet. Stack Overflow, Power BI forum itself will solve that particular problem. But while building a DEX, a particular developer, how a particular developer become the pro or kind of different from other developers by solving these things. Whenever we don't need to jump by looking at that particular DEX problem, we should not directly jump onto the writing the DEX. What we need to do, we have to basically think of the scenarios. When I run this report on that day, what would happen when and run all those steps, whether you are using Notepad in your organization or writing the on the text pad, whatever it is, right? Just write down all those scenarios before writing the text. That will help you in two ways. One is that you would be able to write the text with all possible scenario to avoid the rework on the decks. Second thing is you will be ending up doing less unit testing, and chances are there your production deployment will not fail for the futuristic date as well. Because what happens if you today that particular decks and you don't consider these two scenarios, and when August 2025 will come, there would be a bug, which will be, that is fine. But what I'm saying, to become a kind of good developer, you have to think about all those things, right? So let's look at that particular scenario with this second scenario. Would this work in this second scenario? That because the tricky part is to pick up the start date of the financial year. In this entire problem, the tricky part is to calculate the start of the date. The end date is always today is -1, that is fine. And we are doing directly sum over the quantity, that is fine. Only tricky part is the start of the financial year. Now look at the scenario. When I run the report on 1st August 2025, DAX should also pull data between 1st August 2024 to 31st July. That is all 365 days, right? So now my whole point is that would it return that particular data? Just think, look at this particular logic and think about it, and then give me answer. And write in this particular logic. Assume that we today is like 1st of August 2025. So this will return 8th month, right? Let's debug this part only. So what would be the value on 1st August 2025?
8.
What this value will return?
1825. 1st August
So
2025.
it would be
1st August 2025.
it would be 1st August 2025, right?
Yeah.
And since this requirement is sufficing, right? So in that particular case, this particular DAX is not going to work. For that, we need to remove this condition only. Are we clear on that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the kind of problem we have to solve, because we are not doing anything differently. What we need to do is just put up, as the domain itself says, analytics. So we have to put up our analytical capability to solve all those problems. We not, because anybody can write the DEX. Only thing is that what is the depth level you can think of about the solution, and how much scenario you can write by yourself to solve that particular problem. So I would like to add one few more scenarios, and if you would like to solve with sample data set, all you guys can write all those scenarios and try to build those particular logic within DAX. So one of the scenario I always add, the pick up the drop down for the futuristic data and past data. So for example, if I add the financial year drop down on the report and give us the enable the end user to pick up the financial year like 2021, 22, and since we have the futuristic data to look at what is our futuristic book value, then we can put up the futuristic financial year as well. So add that particular selection, and based on that, calculate the start date and end date, and calculate that particular data. So these are the added scenarios which you can think of and add into the problem statement, and accordingly you can modify the DAX for those given scenarios. So I hope this will help on this DAX side and approaching towards building the DAX in a different aspect. Now, let's look at the visualization problem. So, most of the visualization, as we discuss about the learning pyramid, most of the problem we simply solve like creating simple YTD calculations, simply bar chart trend or line chart trend, something like that, with a simple data set available, right? And there is nothing actually wrong, because whatever the data set is available for practice, we can actually think of it. But thing is that we have to build the data set using Excels by creating the hypothetical scenario, unless you don't have the access of those business scenarios. And I'll tell you how to generate the business scenario and KPIs as well using the ChatGPT in this session. But those are the simple scenarios on the visualization side you have solved on that particular thing. Let's look at the couple of visualization scenario. I have just taken this snapshot from Canva and put it up over here. Now look at this chart, the bar chart everyone can see, right? So that bar chart is basically showing the numbers by week, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, right? And KPIs, the calculation could be for any product or revenue, whatever it is. Now, if I say, if you can see this month as well, right? For this month, it is distributing on week basis. If somebody pick up on the quarter basis, this quarter, then dynamically this should basically convert into the 3 months falling into the quarter, right? And if somebody selected the yearly basis, then that should show the month basis data dynamically. So to solve that particular problem in visualization, anyone has any idea how we can achieve that? Just change the dimension on the time side, like by quarter, by month, and if we say by week, then all the 7 days should populate on the same chart, the different calculations. So anybody has any idea about that?
Can we use a bookmark? Like you can create month, quarter, and
Then you have to build the multiple visualization.
yes, for 3 visualization, quarter, month.
Yeah, we will extend this discussion, because that is where the after building the data model DAX problems, visualization is one of the highest complex problem which required too much understanding of the data and too much understanding of the data model as well. So let me tell you the scenario now, since some of the folks already have done this particular thing. So let me put up that particular in a making the decision scenario. Now, since we have talked about the bookmark where we have to build multiple visualization and maintain that particular visualization using bookmark. So that is with the limited number of dimensions. Here we are talking about the time dimension, month, quarter, and week and year. 4 dimension, 4 chart would required, right? Now,
Yes.
consider the scenario where customer is asking, I can add as many as dimension into the filter criteria. Today, there are 4 dimensions. Tomorrow, it would be 8. Day after tomorrow, it would be 10. Are we going to change the report again and again? No.
No.
Right. So we have to
Yes.
write the field table parameters and achieve that dynamically. Okay. Now, we have to make the decision when we have to use this particular approach versus another approach. If they're like fixed dimension, we have to ask customer, okay, are you going to add more dimensions to do the visualization, or are we going to keep these two visualization forever on this requirement? Based on the answer of the customer, we are going to use that particular approach and apply that into the visualization. Are we clear on that? Okay.
Yes.
Those who haven't understood that particular thing, like field table field parameter and bookmark, I would suggest dig into the YouTube, look into the functionality of the bookmark, and I will give you a couple of requirements. I'll send around this bookmark and field parameters, couple of the business requirements, build that data set and solve by yourself. and I'll share the contact ID as well. So whenever you find the difficulty, just email me and I'll try to reply on that particular part. Are we good with that? Then we'll talk about more visualization problem over here. Okay. So let's suppose the income is showing into the $20, right? And consider that store is spread it out across the globe. Some stores are in the European region, some are Asian region, some are Latin American region, and each country has a different currency, right? So the business requirement says that without having any sort of currency filter on the dashboard, customer wants to basically show that income either into a dollar, euro, Japanese yen, Indian rupees based on the user who is log in that particular dashboard. How we can achieve that? Anyone has any idea? Considering in the data set we have the amount and one column for the amount and another column for the currency itself. So that is the real business requirement actually for the business. Based on the user location, the income on currency symbol should show based on that particular user location. So how can we achieve that?
We can use like according to currency, like if we have a US like currency USD, so we can show a dollar.
No, no,
For
no.
that we
Sorry for the interruption. Let me reiterate. Let's suppose you are the US based customer, I'm the India based customer, and
okay
as long as you log in into this dashboard, you should be showing all the values into the dollar. And
okay
as long as I log in into the dashboard, I should be able to see using INR symbol.
okay.
That's a
Same
requirement.
dashboard, only the
Same dashboard.
currency symbol is
Same KPI,
okay.
there is no visualization change, nothing.
Okay.
We have to get the location of the customer who is logging in, and
Yeah.
based on that,
Yeah.
if this is the country, then we can use switch
Okay.
function to
So
like
definitely. So we can create a field parameter in the Power BI report, the user location. Okay. And as this is showing the top clients, something like that. So
Okay.
we must be having the demographic details of each particular client, right? Right.
Yes.
In this particular demographic profile, we can actually pick up into the field parameter what is the country location or currency belonging to that particular profile, right? As long as we pick up that identify using the field parameter and select from the, let's say that customer in master table where what is the primary currency for Claudia, Marina, Olivia, whatever the user is, then we will basically append into the DEX that particular symbol of the currency directly into the DEX and drag that DEX into the calculation. So for that, we have to one internal field parameter and the value will be set to from the user demographic table.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now there is a one more scenario which is not there over here. So let me switch to Excel for that. Okay. Now let's suppose there is a scenario here calculating customer ID. Okay. Total sales, and this is saying last 3 months sales trend. That is the kind of metric I'm just calculating. Okay. Now we are into the December month, right? So December 2025, November 2025, and October 2024. Okay.
Okay.
We need to show now considering I'm running that report into December 2024. The same visualization should show Jan 2025, December and November when I run the report in Jan 2025. So the requirement is showing the labels on the metrics dynamically. How we can achieve that?
We can use date add function like minus 30 days.
But there is a limitation on the
Okay.
Power BI visual that you cannot use the DAX or major to calculate that. So we must be knowing we must be knowing that particular limitation of the tool as well before
Okay.
committing to the customer itself. So how usually how do I actually communicate to the customer? If customer asks, we need to do this particular thing, they want to show last 3 months dynamic labels on the metrics. So if I don't know how to achieve that on the visual level, always tell to the customer, let me check with the visualization how it is working. Don't tell
Okay.
whether it is possible or not. Tell to the customer how it is working with the visualization, metrics visualization, and come back to you. Because if you say it is not possible with the Power BI, then customer will say, and then Power BI has the limitation, we have to look for the another tool. So you will lose the job. In a terms, you will lose the customer, and customer will start exploring another product. If you say whether it is possible or not, we don't need to say this. We need to say, let me check how it is working with the visualization, with the metrics to show the dynamic of this particular thing. And this is one of the problem I have solved by putting up the label calculation of the labels in the decks. And what we did, we set the blank values and put up one text box each top of that, and then group all the visualizations so that whenever the report will render, those text box top of those columns will not be go here and there.
Okay.
Because,
Understand.
because you need to set dynamically using decks based on the report running into a month. And metrics visualization, if there are like third party visualization which are supporting this particular feature, we have to have that license for that. But customer want to use native metrics visualization, then we must be able to find out the way to solve that particular problem. Now let's come to the part of the chat gpt, when we have to use the AI to build all those things and when not. So most and foremost thing is related to the this chat gpt. Don't rely always to build the decks. First try to build the decks by your own self and put up the decks to refine for your requirement into the prompt, right? And I would suggest you should not use the chat gpt unless you are into the dire situation for the writing the decks, for solving the data modeling problems, and for anything which required your hamper your analytical capability while implementation. Things like I would say, I can give you live example again. What you can do for your practice for the using the chat GPT. So let me share my screen with this. So for example, there is a common problem to build the data set and near real-time business requirement. So what you can do, you can use the Power BI, create a business dashboard requirement for the Netflix, create a executive dashboard business requirements for the Netflix business, where dashboard is being consumed by the upper management and mid to senior level management. Now this will give you the metric: total revenue, monthly, quarterly, yearly breakdown, average revenue per user, right? So this particular chat GPT, you should use the chat GPT to build the business requirement, to write the Python code or something like that, to which will build the data. So for example, subscriber and user growth could be one of the key domain for the metric. And if you see the lifetime value of the subscriber, so while building the skill into the visualization, we have to also understand the business requirement, their terms, and the business domain itself. So can anybody help me to understand what is the LTV of the subscriber? What is the definition of LTV if you know this particular thing?
How much of the revenue contributed by one user?
Yes, that's true. So what is the LTV for me, for you, for other person could be different. For
Yes.
example, I've been the user of the Netflix past from 3 years, and since Netflix has the monthly model on the subscription side, so my LTV calculation would go how many times I have successfully made the irrespective of how how long I've been the customer. So for example, I logged into the Netflix or created my account into the Netflix on the 1st January 2023. And I'm the till date I'm the customer. So there is a like 24-month window. But how many times I have made the successful payments during that period? That's how the LTV calculated. If I talk about, if we do, for example, there are 24 months and the subscription price is 199. If we multiply 24 multiply by 199, that is not the LTV for me as a subscriber. The LTV value for the Netflix for me, the value, oh sorry, the amount I paid to the Netflix for accessing the Netflix. So that is the actual. So for example, if I made the payment out of 24 months, only 20 months, then the LTV will be calculated for those paid 20 months multiply by 199. Clear? Can anyone give the idea what is the subscriber acquisition cost and what are the date fields which are required to calculate this particular formula?
Maybe we can get the discount that is given to a user.
That is one parameter. Wonderful. Is there any if
Any marketing
cost
is
available
done
associated? Yeah,
associated, then
yeah,
how many subscribers
perfect,
got into it because of that marketing?
perfect, perfect. Right. So that is these are the scenarios where you need to actually use the Power BI and sorry, this Chat GPT and just do the build the data set, right? Now let's look at the creation of the data set. Create a Python code, generate the so when it comes to prompt engineering and the context, which does matter. For example, if I have created this requirement, then ChatGPT will use the context of my last search and give us the Python program to generate the all sort of possible metrics around which we need to calculate or write the decks around these particular metrics. So here I'm just putting up the another prompt, create a Python code to generate the data set for executive dashboard business requirement for Netflix business where this. So I'm going to use the same text but tweak that particular thing. So to solve your data set problems, so in these particular scenarios, we have to basically apply the skills of the prompt engineering and use the tools like ChatGPT. And you must be able to run this particular Python code and which will generate the data for you. And you can generate that data any n number of times for the given business scenario. So that's how actually you can utilize the chat GPT. But I would suggest you should refrain yourself to use the chat GPT to write the decks specifically. The reason, if you don't put your own efforts, you cannot build that cognitive ability to write effective decks. Yeah. So now comes to the part of the interview. Okay. So, so there are like two slides in the interview which contains the approaches, how we actually build the narrative or story in our favor while putting up the introduction. So most of the interviews are start with the define yourself, talk about your technical skills, and introduce yourself, something like that, right? So let's suppose I'm giving interview for the position of Power BI developer, where somebody has the 5 year of experience in the Power BI, overall experience is 10 plus, has the understanding of the data modeling and databases as well. So if that question comes to me, how would I answer that? Before that, I would like to explain couple of these five uh, storytelling structure, and rest of the things you can go through by yourself from that PPT. But for example, build tension. What does that mean? So, I mean, if we usually what when we actually have some sort of urgency, we create the urgency, then we actually put up the more attention on that particular urgency. So build tension means that while introducing ourselves, we have to talk about the problem and create a tension in a mind of interviewer. Okay, that was the problem which was huge, and that was the urgent thing which we basically solved using my skills. So beginning of your story should be telling the create a kind of tension about the problem of the obstacles you have faced, and then the second part of your introduction, second part of your storytelling should be how did you solve that particular problem, and what were the techniques you have used, and was that particular solution aligning with the business requirement or not, and then you can share your learnings. So while solving that problem, you have dig into multiple places like online resources, books, your peer help, and all of that. So that will tell the narrative or build the narrative in the mind of interviewer. You are the person who looks for the multiple solutions or multiple areas, and you don't hesitate to take the help from your previous organization colleagues as well, or your peers in the organization. And then you can actually, in the while telling the story, you can put up some sort of context in the sense of in the business domain itself. So, for example, if I'm uh, going to give the interview to the company who is dealing with the share market or the providing the e-commerce solution, so you can actually build that particular narrative around that particular domain by putting in some sort of words like user retention period. So, mainly this particular metric is basically common around any industry. So that's how basically you build that particular story structure while introducing yourself, especially for the electoral position where the most senior or the mid to senior positions are being hired by the interviewers. Now let me give you that particular sense, whatever come in my mind. So how can I introduce to the interview? So hey, my name is Rahul Neekhra. I've been in IT industry past from 17 years. I have begun my career with the web technologies, and I built my interest into the database side of it because that is where I find myself good at it, and then eventually I build career into the data engineering, and along the lines of my uh, day-to-day work, I built the interest over the period of time in the BI analytics. That is where I got opportunity within the organization to learn the Power BI, and that is where I am. So that is your introduction. Now, when it comes to the answering the uh, question like what the biggest problem you have solved in your organization. So I can give you the context of one of the problem which I have solved during the migration. So I was working one of the company called as SCL, and there was a client called as Cementech, for which there was a huge problem to change the data type from int to big int, considering the log data in the database, which was like hundreds of GB, and we were having a certain limited window to perform that operation. If we couldn't achieve that particular migration in a stipulated window, then system would have been stopped, and that migration was required the acumen of data recovery as well as, and there was an urgency of that particular problem. At the same time, we was not allowed to take the downtime more than 4 hours. So we had to solve that particular problem of the migration from int to big int data type migration into an existing table within the 4 hour window. So that creates your tension about the problem. That is where basically interviewer takes interest in you, and he would expect from you how did you solve that particular problem. Now delivering the result. So by putting up that context of the problem, I already built the tension like 4 hour downtime window only, and hundreds of the GB data migration without a data without losing any sort of data. Now, what you did? So, what you can do to achieve that particular solution, we did certain number of POCs to qualify these requirements so that we can complete the migration within the 4 hours, and we do not lose that particular data as well during that migration. At the same time, we have to have the rollback strategy as well. So we were able to do successfully. And how we did it, we did actually couple of POCs, and you can explain those POC. For example, I have created another blank column into the table with the blank values, and then update that column with the self join. So that is one of the POC, and then I executed that POC with the limited set of data, and recorded the time, how much it took, and then based on that, I have actually arrived the calculation whether that migration is possible within 4 hour window or not, right? Now, so that is where you just tell to the interviewer how did you solve that particular problem by applying them sort of POCs, and you have taken the structured approach, systematic approach to solve the problem. Now comes to the share learning part. So what was there, the learnings which you have actually got during that particular POC? So for example, I can say if the data type was the not null, and during the POC, I created the first nullable column, and then migrate the data, and then did the I mean apply the not null constraint. So that takes itself a lot of time. So how we can actually solve that particular problem? So that kind of learnings you can share with the interviewer. Now hook with the context. So the current context is like set the scene in one sentence. So how in that particular scenario, how can I actually set that particular context in a one single sentence? So for example, we created a war room during our migration in that time downtime window, where we were having that DVAs are there, developers were there, project manager, architect, everybody was there to achieve that migration successfully. So that creates a kind of collaboration kind of scenario, and you can set that particular context for the successful delivery of that particular problem, right? Second part of that particular interview, I'm not going to discuss in details. I'll share that PPT, and you can actually have and do some research by yourself. So now, floor is open for the question and answer around the discussion, and I'll try to give that a question and answer. I will try to give you answer as many as question I can pick up, because we are remaining only 13 minutes. And these are the number of resources I have been taken. So in this PPT, I put it up. What are those YouTube channels you can take on, and for what purpose, skill areas, and what are the levels of those videos on these channels. Yeah. So floor is open to ask any question related to that.
Hi, Rahul.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, as you already have the experience, relevant experience to speak about what are the challenges, what delivery and all.
Mhm.
A person who has not worked on a real-time project or work, but has worked on
So,
normal projects for dummy projects and all, like everyone does for portfolio. Then how do we answer the question, like, if you have faced any challenges, how did you deliver? What is the collaboration that you did? But as there is no collaboration over here, no teamwork.
okay.
So how do we approach the same?
Okay. So there are two things I would say. If you have been in any sort of reporting project in past, I would say uh, do the. I'm not saying that we have to do the manipulation, but what I'm saying, use that particular context. I'll give you that particular answer with the example which I have used to do, and get your previous project context and fit the new skill set into the context. That is one way. Second is just do the more practice around the different data set. And if you are looking for excelling in the new skill set, and would like to basically get the job and looking for the true experience, not looking for the money, then explain to the interviewer, I have built n number of projects with these data sets, explain the data set, and come neat and clean and honest in front of the interviewer and tell them that I have been learning past from 1 year or 6 months, and I'm willing to put my more than 100%. So that is where interviewer will gauge if requirement is not business requirement, or the job requirement is not strictly apply to the hands-on experience, then most of the interviewer will basically take it positively and give you the chance. Now, in the scenario when you don't have the context, for me, let me talk about the context itself. So prior to Power BI, I have been working on the SSRS report, and I have done plenty of reports and project using the SSRS, right? So when I started the Power BI back in 2016, my situation was, not that good in terms of the Power BI. The tool itself was not mature. There were like limited contents were available. So how did I that particular thing? Two things I have taken it. First, whatever the work I have done with the SSRS reports, I created those. I was having the clarity about the business requirement. All I did, created the data set and apply into the Power BI itself. And then whenever I go to the interview at that point of time, what I did, I didn't tell to the interviewer that I did these thing in SSRS and practice into the Power BI. What I did, I explained my project by setting up the context, business requirement context from the SSRS experience, and explain into the Power BI without telling to the interviewer that I don't have the expertise into that particular tool, right? So that is where basically I set up the context based on my prior experience on other skill set and transfer that skills into the Power BI context and explain that particular thing. And that's how I cracked the interview on the Power BI. Actually, why this is necessary to practice before uh, going into in the contextual transfer skill transferal mode, because unless you have done a similar kind of work in a same domain, you cannot actually set the context and explain that. So you have to be either take that approach if you have done contextual work with the other tool, and if you did not that kind of work, then come clean, honest in front of the interview, and chances are high that you will be selected. So these are the two different approaches you can take on.
Okay.
Does that your answer?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like if you have something similar kind of thing and can be replicated in Power BI or any BI tools,
Yeah.
then we should go over it, or else we should be just clean about it. Like I have worked on
Yes,
these
yes.
projects.
But
Okay.
even before going honest in front of the interviewer, do the hard work, because I
Yes.
have already shown the approach,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And if you do the hard work, you can explain the things very
Proper way.
fluently to the interviewer.
Yes.
Because more, for example, if you see the engagement on the post, most of the people also advocated for giving the chance, right? But how people or interviewer will gauge the person that that person has the capability of learning or not? By basically judging the skill set, whatever he's talking about. For example, if you don't have the experience, but you have done lot of dummy project with the different complex data set created available online or created by yourself, and you explain that, then chances are there you can impress me and I can give you the answer. But if you say, okay, these are the things I have done and using YouTube, don't go generic with the generic context, right? Because the moment you say I have, because trust me, I've been doing the interview past from 1 years, and most of the folks who don't have the hands-on project experience with the Power BI come up with two type of projects, either HR dashboard or the e-commerce delivery dashboard, not beyond that. Okay. So my point is that do the practice, set the context, and talk about the in the context of data sets, the visualization problem, KPI and metrics. So if you talk the language of the Power BI, interviewer will give you the chance. But if you don't talk the language of the Power BI, like KPIs, because if you say I have calculated these number of KPIs, then how what signal this will send to me? you understand what is the different KPIs are there. Yeah, and you can solve that particular problem. That's how I can judge your capacity, your learning capabilities, right?
Yes.
Right. Otherwise, telling or advocating online give a chance to the person how we can actually judge that. So in India, as in my beginning of the slide of that particular presentation, I put it up one phrase which came into my mind yesterday night only. Fasten your skill belts as there is a huge competition in the market, right? If I put up one Power BI position out there, let's say that open position in my organization for 3+ year of experience, I'll be receiving almost like 1,000 or 2,000 resumes, and I cannot screen, I cannot interview all those 1,000 2,000 candidates, right? So
Yes.
that is where we have to have more cognizance towards ourselves when it comes to building the skill set itself. Yep. Any other question from anyone?
Yes, Rahul. One more thing that you tell that like if someone has no experience, past experience, don't have experience in Power BI,
Mm-hmm.
like myself also, I was a telecom engineer, but I was doing the analysis, but in always in Excel. But I have extensive, like around 6 to 7 years of experience in Excel.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I learned Power BI, but
Mm-hmm.
after that, because currently I have a career gap
Mm-hmm.
around 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I learn Power BI and I like whenever I'm going for the interview looking for the vacancy. So I'm telling interviewer that I have around 3 years of Power BI experience doing analysis in telecom domain.
Mm-hmm.
So I was explaining like Power Query also, like how to clean data and how to add columns and merging data and appending the data. But
Mm-hmm.
one more thing that they are saying like what kind of data source you have used. So basically I was saying that I have used the Excel, CSV and MySQL.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like these are the basic five. So they want more like SQL Server, APIs and cloud.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
So Ashish, okay, so you got that answer, right? So you got the answer from interviewer. What you need to do, you need to just build the one of the database skill, dump that data into database, write the SQLs, and learn the data modeling. That would be quickest thing for you.
okay,
Because for
but
example, give me a moment. For
yeah,
example, you have like two Excel sheets in which there are like four workbook. So you
yes,
can easily understand you need to create four database tables.
okay,
Okay. So
yeah.
how do you basically, for example, uh, are there any one who don't understand Hindi so that I come up with the more contextual, or should I continue in English only?
So please continue in English, sir.
Okay, no worries. Sure, come here. Ashish, what do you need to do? Think in a scenario. Don't so first of all, this is a generic advice so far my experience. Don't
Okay,
think in a context when it comes to learning new things. Think about yourself. You are like a KG1, KG2 student when it comes to acquiring new skills. Right?
right.
Ask the question. For example, you need to learn the SQL. Okay. Go and dig into learn what is the requirement of the learning the SQL. And most of the article will say you need to have the understanding of the tables. Write it down and break that particular problem or approach to the level where it is going to start from the beginning. So in your context, let me set the context. In your case, you are coming from the telecom engineering, forget about it. You have done some sort of data work using Excel,
Yes.
forget about it. Now what you need to do, pick up those Excel sheets and ask yourself, what if I need to convert these Excels into the database and then write the queries top of that the way I was doing the analysis. Then you
Okay.
write it down. What are the things to convert these Excel into the database? So you need to have the skill to create a table, create a database, understanding the data types, and then load that data into the tables. Top of that, then you would be able to learn the SQL, what kind of joins are there, what are the different type of keywords are there, how I can filter the data, the way you apply the filter on the Excel, what are the things which are equally available into the database side. So write it down those things, start learning those things. Eventually, you find yourself after 30 days, 45 days, you are actually expert into the database. Trust me, in IT industry, whatever we are doing as part of our learning and skills, we apply only those things in a systematic way. There's no difference. Somebody says, uh, if let's say that we are building a query or solution or anything for the personal finance, take the context of your personal finance. Take the banking statement yourself. What is the definition of the personal finance? Apply to your bank statement and build that particular solution, whatever it is, whether it is SQL, Power BI, whatever it is. So that's how the real challenge is people are not able to gauge what is the requirement. So to set that particular context with anything, you can apply on yourself and then apply that skill set on that particular scenario.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, got it. Actually, I have learned MySQL also, like SQL. I have learned MySQL also. I'm practicing SQL on Lead Code and HackerRank also. I have solved many questions also. And
Mm.
one more thing that in like other than Power BI, sometimes they ask Azure, AWS,
Mm.
Databricks,
Mm.
and all. So,
Mm.
like, if I want to learn instead of Power BI, so from where should I learn? Like, I start with Azure, AWS, or Databricks.
Yeah, so
Which you prefer?
yeah, so I would say select the platform. If you go with the AWS tech stack, don't go with the Azure, Microsoft.
Okay,
If you go Azure stack or Microsoft, don't go with the AWS, because in both places there are n number of technologies on the data stack side, BI side, which required a certain part to learn. And if you start
okay,
building the things, then you mix up both the things and you will end up losing everything and you won't get anything out of it. So, for example, if you go the AWS side, Databricks is common, irrespective
okay,
of what cloud you are using, AWS or Azure. But when it comes to Microsoft cloud platform, data engineering like ADF, now it is Microsoft Fabric, Power BI, these are the things which are there. ADF for the ETL, Azure Synapse is for the database, DWH, right? These are the tech
yeah,
around the data engineering, BI analytics. And when it comes to AWS, Glue, Lambda, um S3, all the Redshift, all these are the technologies which are required to be a data engineer on that side itself, right? So
okay,
my question is that, and these number of technology on both the different areas required a different set of skill set, thought process. Python is common both the ways. So I would suggest choose a platform, do the research, which one is popular, and then make a decision accordingly. And how would you make that
okay,
decision? Search for this database on the naukri.com. AWS data engineer, how many jobs are there? Azure data engineer, how many jobs are there? And then
okay,
start digging into what are the different salaries and different experience range, where are the most popular based on your geolocation preferences, what are the different jobs available in number of jobs available in which particular city. Based on that, you can actually choose that particular platform, because you have to learn any of that, right? But you
oh,
have to
right,
have that particular context.
okay.
Anyone, any other question? Okay, yeah, so it's a time to wrap it up.
Hello,
Particular,
sir.
yeah, Kavya, tell me.
Sir, can you please tell me how to develop the domain knowledge?
Domain knowledge, as I said that I have shown this ChatGPT prompt that gave the complete requirement, pull it up into the Word document and start
Yeah.
learning. So in the context of streaming business, Netflix is streaming business. So if we talk about the, or in a nutshell, it is a streaming, but it is a online subscription business. So in any of the online subscription business, whether it is a streaming, e-commerce, anything, whatever the KPIs matrices are there, those are the common. Most of the 80% are common when it comes to different business domain areas, right? So
Yeah.
start with the understanding the definition of all those things and what are the calculations required to generate the KPI. That's how you can start building the domain knowledge. So for
Okay, sir.
example, if you put up the, let's say that somebody wants to build a knowledge into the capital market, equity trading, then just put up the prompt on the into the chat GPT, and that will give you the certain keywords, learn those keywords, formulas, and then you can start building the domain knowledge on the equity trading.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Okay. So can I ask a particular favor? So I have just posted this post. If you can, I mean, share your feedback on that LinkedIn post and share on your wall, that would be kind of a good thing for me, so that I can, I mean, people get start getting into the engagement, and for my next working session, something like that, people will start resting on that.
On the image post or the one?
No, I have posted the LinkedIn post over here.
One.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, that is the only favor I'm looking for.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
I
can I
hope.
get the contact mail or something so that.
Sure, definitely. Contact at,
Okay, is it nick.rahul@gmail.com?
that is my personal ID,
Okay.
but you can send me the email on this. I hope this session is useful for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you. And
Thank you.
do write me in case you need any other help, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, and keep up the good work. Do the hard work, and you will get the success. Wish you good luck to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye everyone.
If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe our channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Until then, I'll be seeing you in the next video.